Well, kiddos, it's another Wednesday, and if you're here for some good content, I'm afraid you've come to the wrong place. Is that what you said, Bill?
Stop.
I'm just saying, come on, Bill. Wednesday, December 2nd, episode 91, Caleb Pike. How are you?
Good. How are you? Sorry, I was distracted. I was trying to find the mute button. I didn't have the video muted on YouTube, so we're good to go.
Okay, good.
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's December 2nd, unbelievably. We are in the final month of this absolutely insane thing that we are living in. And we are missing somebody from our crew. We do not have Mr. Ben Barden because he was scheduled on a shoot today, which went into the evening, and so he wrapped only about an hour or two ago, and I don't think he was able to get back. For all I know, he lives out in the country, so he's probably in Prague, and then he probably decided to have a beer. I would if I were him. So
yeah, something
speaking
about a
of
big cold one after a gig. It's just the best.
It is the best. A lot of the times we'll have on final day of a production, we'll have a fridge, and I'll send somebody out at lunchtime, and I'm like, go get a bunch of really good beer, get them really cold, and then we'll wrap in the set. And we've done it. I mean, it's all good stuff.
Oh yeah, yep. Yeah, I miss that a lot about production, doing the channel. Yeah. I mean, there's still a grind for sure to get stuff done, but there's something about a really long day. With a bunch of people finishing up and kicking back for a bit before heading back. So
it's nice. Not as fun drinking alone.
See a couple people in here.
Yeah.
Are some of these names new to you? Roz? I don't recognize.
No, Roz came in at least one other time, so welcome.
And then Chuck Moss, welcome.
Yeah, Chuck, welcome.
Hello.
Chuck. Hey, nice avatar. Oliver's here. Bill, Sky, of course. Evening. And we've got a question. Did you buy anything
with all the Black Magic Friday, Monday, Cybers, all the stuff? Or
I got some hard drives for cheap.
Your interest?
Not really. I'm over that. I'm getting old, man.
Me too.
I am so surrounded, and I'm so surrounded by equipment now. At this point, it's like I'd really like to replace my C200 with a couple of C70s, probably. That would be a good fit for me. But I'm just not. I'm not excited. Like if the Tentacle 32-bit float audio recorder had audio out like the international version, I'd probably jump on that. That would be a cool little thing to have in my kit. But I don't know. Why didn't we invite a guest? Time is probably why we didn't invite a guest. What has your schedule been like lately? Because my schedule is kind of bonkers at the moment. Are you busy creating content at the moment in the studio and stuff?
Yeah. I took more time off than I usually do for this Thanksgiving. I'm trying to be like a normal person. It's only been in the last year or two that I've started to take more holidays and time off, because I don't think I have not even close to what you would normally get if you worked at it,
Sure.
Whatever, corporate America, USA. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. And I this could be a whole other topic as to how to schedule time management, scheduling. And it's even harder for guys like you and Ben who have, it just comes and goes, right? There will be nothing for weeks, and then suddenly it's everything.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, it's pretty consistent. It's a video every week, and then I try to produce these guides, which are longer form. But I'm still trying to figure out, what's the best way to go about it. So right now, I'm kind of in this, I'm experimenting with breaking up the days. So 3 days for YouTube, 2 days for the guides, and just trying to experiment with stuff. But I can never seem to find something that, is really solid.
Yeah.
But yeah. How about you guys? Let me know, because it's
yeah.
always a struggle.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Trying this stuff.
We're almost 5 minutes in without a drink, and I know
snap.
that I woke up at 4:45, 5 a.m. I'm ready for a drink. Let's do it. What you having?
Okay.
What are you doing, Caleb?
This week it's back to Prairie Street Brewing with another beer of theirs. This is their
Nor'easter.
Nor'easter, and this is a New England, I believe. Yeah, New England style IPA. So very nice and kind of hazy, and not super hoppy.
Yep.
So
we're getting a lot of freeze frames with you right now. I don't know what's going on.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if you get some sort of setting. So, just for people, what's wrong? Oh no! Do you want to hop out?
Wi-Fi.
All right, let me hop to it. Should I go full screen and then you can come back? Or
Sure.
What do you want to do?
I'll bail and I'll turn off Wi-Fi and then I'll go Ethernet. All right.
Let's do it.
All right. Be right back.
God help you all having just a single on me. If you don't know what a nor'easter is, by the way, if you didn't grow up on the East Coast, a nor'easter is generally when you have two storms that converge, generally from the south and from the west. And when they come together, they just create havoc, chaos, and they just sit there, generally over the New York metro area. So I have been a part of many a nor'easter. And where Caleb got that beer, where's that brewery from that made the nor'easter?
It is in Rockford, Illinois.
Yeah, so I don't know why they're talking about nor'easters. Unless they're saying we're sending one of the two storms that you're going to get to create a nor'easter from the west where we are. Maybe that's what they're that's a little bit, All right, I'm having some wine today, so I'm going with a
Let's see it.
It's a local place. It's called Brooks, and this is called Runaway Red. It's basically like a Pinot Noir blend. It's very easy drinking. It's not super expensive, and I just felt like I was in the mood for some wine. Maybe not that much wine. So cheers to you.
Cheers,
and
my friend.
to everybody here is at the chat, and we're gonna have a little talky talk. Very nice. Okay, good. Beautiful.
Delightful.
David's having some damn booze, and Roz has some of those strong West Coast storms as well. I'm on the West Coast now. We didn't really buy anything for Black Friday. We were just talking about that at the top of the show. I bought a few hard drives, and I took advantage of some stuff to get some presents for the kids, that were the 25% off things and stuff like that. And we bought a couple of chairs for our living room that were on sale. Because we need like a couple of swivel big chairs.
Yeah, dude, swivels are where it's at. It's hard to find a good swivel.
No, this is a good swivel. We got two of them, and they're big. And they have like... I think they're goose or duck feathers inside, so they're really comfortable when you sit on them.
Nice.
It's beautiful.
Let us know, though, folks, what you guys bought. The hard drive thing is that's a great time. I always forget. I feel like I always buy hard drives in the middle of the year, but, man, it's always a good time at that Black Friday situation. I'm trying to think. There's a couple things I bought. I was really proud of myself. I showed a lot of self-control. There's been a bunch of stuff I want. Like, I want that Sigma 35 f1.4.
Yes.
And a couple other things, and I would use them. So I added a bunch of stuff to my B&H cart, and then I went one by one, and I was like, do I actually need this? Like, will this, completely change the future of the business? And every time I was like,
I had a moment like that. I had a moment, I have so many tripods, and I've always been eyeing that the Peak Design travel tripod. I just like that thing. It's small. Yeah. And I had it in there, and it was in the cart, and I was like, do I really want to spend $325 on something where I have actually already a really good travel tripod and a good travel monopod? And by the way, I'm not traveling anywhere. So why am I buying this thing? What, so I can go out with my camera for the afternoon to the beach and just take some photographs? It was just, somehow the older I get, I'm getting better at that self-editing phase. So I don't know. You are still freezing, my friend, though. Let's get it to kick in.
Dadgum.
Come on. Yeah.
That's weird. Hopefully it'll go away. Let me turn down YouTube's output.
David bought a one-wheel helmet for brain safety. That's fun. Sky didn't buy anything. Yeah, did anybody buy anything for Black Friday? Somebody just referred a friend to buy the Tascam DR10L through Caleb's affiliate link, and this immediately pops up live on YouTube. Well, there we go, Dead Astronaut. Dead Astronaut, that's a great name. Yeah. I don't know what it means. And Kit has the Godox
VLC. It's a good band name.
Yeah. But Kit, is it still $250 off for that VL300? You'll have to let me know. Oh, the dogs. The in-laws are here again, by the way. If you have a history with the C47, you might know about the in-laws. We lose dogs and dogs start barking and all kinds of things. I think I should just make it part of the atmosphere. And by the way, we got a puppy, which you know about, right, Caleb? We have a new puppy.
No.
We got a puppy like 3 weeks ago. So we have a golden doodle. His name is Hamish, which means James. We're going full on Scottish.
Sounds Jewish.
Hamish. No, Hamish is 100% Scottish name. Like Angus and Hamish are the most Scottish names that you could go with. Yeah, no, it's definitely not Eastern European.
I was thinking
Hamish. Hamish. What are you doing, Hamish? Hi.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love it.
Amazing. So what do we got? New puppy. And they brought their dog.
Second dog.
No, you are. Oh, you are? Awesome.
Yep.
Puppy or, yeah?
Puppy. Brand new. 2020 model.
Yeah.
It's another dachshund. So we'll have 2 dachshunds.
Awesome.
2 psycho.
Good. 2020 model. It's like a car.
Yep. Brand new. Ordered it from the dealer.
Amazing. Good.
Nothing against, obviously adopting, but you can't really find dachshunds to adopt these days. They're popular.
Yeah. Jesse, our breeder was 3 minutes away from our house. Unbelievable. We drove up the road and we're like, we want to see the dog. And they're like, just come over to the house. We came over and
That's
I
amazing.
knew. I brought the checkbook when I went because we had already we were like,
Yeah.
And then you walk in and the whole litter's there and one jumps up to you and my son, like me and my son, and that's like, okay, that's the one right there. So
we risked it. We got risky and we ordered without having seen the dog.
Wow.
So that's kind of but
no, we did that. We saw pictures, but we were in Scotland when we got our standard because our other dog had passed like right before we left on our trip. Was almost 15 years old. And when we were away, we basically, we got the other dog. And we flew home from Scotland and got in a car the next morning and drove to Vermont to pick up River. That's what happened.
Nice.
So Jesse traded in Micro Four Thirds gear and upgraded to an R5 and got an amazing $100 off deal on the 24 to 70 RF lens. Very nice lens. I will say that I'm very partial to the 15 to 35. RF lens. That lens is, when we talk about Rockstar lenses, that's a Rockstar lens, in my opinion.
Nice.
And love that wider focal length. It's pretty awesome. Yeah.
I want to ask this question because it's one previous to that one, and then we'll come back to it because I have a question about the R5. Aya Film, are you guys getting the Aperture 600D? I ordered mine already. I think that fixture is going to be amazing, but I unless I get one into review, I probably won't buy one just because of the scale, right, of my stuff. Like the most I'll do is a little wider than this. I kind of actually my last video, you can kind of see the widest I usually go. And that thing is just way overkill for me. But if I was still rocking larger interview setups and whatnot, a 12x12 and frames with that thing,
beautiful,
ridiculous.
I have a Forza 500 here, and that's not quite as powerful, but it's it's got some It's got some oomph. I'm listening to what's going on upstairs, and I think just my father-in-law is here. And obviously something's going on with the dogs because he's going, no, no. And I'm like, I
Well, I
feel
don't hear
compelled. Well, no, but I feel compelled to go upstairs. But I'm like, as long as he doesn't kill the puppy and everybody's still alive when we're done, the worst that'll happen is there's a little bit of, probably what happened is somebody pooped on the chair. Oh,
Oh.
don't even get me started. Don't say that. Oh, God. Oh, I'm afraid of what I'm going to find in the next hour when I go upstairs.
Oh, man.
Here we go. There we go.
So Jesse, that's a big move. Micro Four Thirds, so my guess is Panasonic, or I guess Blackmagic, to the R5. So question, the R5, is it still, after all the updates, is it actually usable now for long-form content? Or is it still...
It's better, but it's not. They haven't done the big firmware update, which I think is going to come early 2021. And we'll have to see where that is. I mean, for sure, when you're shooting 4K UHD, normal frame rates, you're fine with the camera. When you start going into HQ mode, you start to shoot in 8K, of course. When you start to do stuff like that, that's really where you're taxing it. That's where that sealed body really starts to suffer a little bit. But there are going to be some updates, and I think they'll improve upon those things. There's only so far you can go with the camera system. But yeah. I mean, I just, I know somebody really well who's a professional photographer who also shoots video, and it looks like he's going to get 2 of those bodies and use it primarily for stills, but also shoot some video. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see.
Have you seen the DIY perks video?
No. And somebody put that up there. Does it actually work?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he water cooled it, and then he his end product, the water coolings were just ridiculous because you're not going to walk around with something like that. But he actually came up with a very clean. He replaced a metal piece inside of the camera with a thick copper version and new thermal paste, and that pretty much fixed it without any janky stuff. And then he created a battery grip essentially with a fan. And between those two, I think he got it up to, like, if I remember correctly, like 50 minutes of 8K, which is plenty.
That's insane.
Like a lot.
That's insane.
Just
that's insane.
Replacing a metal piece in the middle and some copper and some thermal paste. So that's
interesting. Sick. That is sick.
Not that I would ever do what he did,
but camera itself, it's like insane up there. The man does not know how to take care of dogs. It is pretty interesting to me. The more I've been shooting with the R5, the more you realize how good of a camera it is and what it's capable of. But you also realize that there are things that are very frustrating about the camera, like the dual display, where it's like it'll push a menu, but you can't see the back screen. And if you can see the back screen, you don't have full functionality. Yeah, some of that stuff gets really frustrating. Obviously, heat management is the biggest consideration, and how to manage that is, that's the main thing with the camera. Picture is great, and you're shooting in, I mean, and the raw stuff when you bring it into DaVinci Resolve is pretty amazing. It's just, I think it's going to be the right camera for a certain percentage of people out there, and it's going to do really well. And then it'll be really interesting to see what the R5 Mark II is going to be and what happens with that, because I think there's going to be a lot of learning that Canon's going to get from that, because they clearly can't come out with the next iteration of that camera and have the same issues. And I can't say necessarily, though other people would disagree, that Canon is purposely crippling that camera, because just by the fact that they're putting all of those features in there, I just think that there was some marketing issues with how they promoted the camera right out of the gate, and then sort of what people realized in terms of the reality of using the camera. But it's a very capable camera. It's just I'm really interested to see where they go. What I'm really excited about is the C70. I think that they really hit a home run there. And then I've seen a lot of posts out there with people asking questions between the FX6 and the C70, which are very different cameras. They're in very similar price points. We kind of talked about it on the last show a couple of weeks ago. And I still think that if full frame is not the selling factor for you, that's not the drool factor when you're buying the camera, that for most people, day in, day out, the C70 is probably going to be a better camera in that price point of those two, I think. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be a very capable camera, but I think so. I wish Canon would get a variable ND going, though it's still very impressive. They've got 10 stops of ND in a body that size. So I don't know. What do we got in the chat?
Yeah, that's a tough call.
Yeah.
Like there's no XLR on
on the what?
On the 70, right?
Well, there's two mini XLRs, so they right on the camera body.
Okay.
So you just need a mini to full XLR. You need
right,
and it's on the camera body. So
unlike
the FX6, which does have XLR, but kind of a la C100. So it's like C100 Mark 1. It's literally C100 Mark 1 because if you remember the
without
C100
the headphone jack or the 100 had a 3.5, right?
No. So
100
Mark 1 only had XLR on the handles, and it had a reference mic, a scratch mic built into the body. There was no 3.5. And then Mark II, they added the 3.5 into the body. But apparently, unless I'm wrong and the chat can tell me, I don't think that the FX6 even has a 3.5 on the body. So it's literally just XLRs and scratch audio. Which is like no bueno nowadays. You could put a 3.5.
Yeah. I don't think it has literally anything audio related on just the body.
Wait, you can't even do scratch audio if you don't have the handle? Yeah, that's bonkers.
I don't even think there's that. I could be wrong, but I could
That's
be very
kooky
wrong.
brains. That's very kooky brains.
So chat-wise, people are talking about how we look very similar, Rabbit Triple. You realize you're clones, except for the beard, and you're both rocking dark clothes, AirPods, shaved heads,
I'm also much older. So everybody, don't even. Yeah, we're not clones at all.
Yeah.
Don't even start.
And then
Golden Child over there.
Where did she say? Oh, Kit says, one of these days Caleb should grow stubble and Jem should shave to confuse the hell out of us. That's funny.
I've done it every once in a while. My wife, her birthday, she likes that, but I haven't done it the last couple of years, so we'll see if that's going to happen.
So catching up here, David pre-ordered the 600D. Shavik bought an HP Omen laptop. Roz has an A7S inbound. Benjamin, need a great zoom for nature doc on a barrier island. Camera will likely be Ursa 12K, looking at 17 to 120, or Zeiss 21 to 100. Ooh, some fancy stuff.
Well, that is a question. You know, they keep making lenses and they keep saying, can resolve 4K and beyond. How beyond can they resolve a clean image? I think clearly Zeiss has said at least 8K, but now we've got a 12K camera. What's up with that? I don't know.
So educate me. What does resolve actually mean?
Well, anything can resolve, right? Because if you have a full frame center, but I think they're saying resolve, or give you a sharp image, to me, is what they're really trying to communicate at that resolution of capture. Because, resolve may be you put up a standard chart, focus chart, and are you going to get, a clean or cleanish edge-to-edge image? That's the way I'm thinking about it.
Right.
I don't know how they define it. So, you put
one of those
older
marketing terms that means a lot. There's a huge range.
Yeah, exactly.
Like HDR, a lot of monitors are like, ooh, HDR with 280 nits. It's like, no.
Exactly. No, and technically, if you hit 101 nits, you're HDR, because SDR is up to 100 nits. So it's all BS. And that's true with, all of the other stuff. It's HDR, and
Yeah.
that means that it's basically anything over 10 stops of dynamic range is technically HDR.
Yeah.
But
HDR out of the HDMI output.
Stop it. Hopefully nobody from Australia here on the thing today.
We love them. We
Sharp
all love
image, less fringing, chromatic aberration, basically good image. I think you're feeding off of that resolving. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you put old vintage lenses on an 8K sensor, it's probably going to look beautiful, but it's going to look soft, So I think it has to do with just having a sharp image. You're
Sure.
starting with something that's sharp, good contrast,
Right.
all that stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Travis says jump off a Zoom call using the Caleb's Field Monitor teleprompter combo. Nice. Jem, you've been rocking that forever before I got into it.
Dude,
the
what?
teleprompter Zoom situation.
Oh,
Zoom calls with a teleprompter. You've been all over that.
Well, that's the only way I can function right now. In fact, I think I want to go larger. I'm directing for like 8 to 10 hours a day over Zoom. It's insane, and I've got a 10-inch monitor right now, and so basically that's my setup. It's definitely too small in the long term. I think I'm gonna have to pony up.
Are you like squinting and stuff?
It can be a problem when people like share their screen and I have to read things or I have to do scripts. I have to drag stuff over to the other monitor over here. And what I'd really like to do, like if I was 17 on this right here, then I'd be golden because I'm not that far away from it. I'm a little more than an arm's length away is generally where the prompter is. But that 10-inch screen is a little small. If I went 17 inches, I think I could do damage. Like it would just be nice. I could live on this thing. I'd have enough real estate, and for an old man like me, bigger is better. Don't demonetize.
Someone needs to come out with like a TV with a built-in, like, because they're coming out with these transparent TVs. Have you seen these on like Linus Tech Tips?
Yep.
If they could hide a webcam behind it inside of a TV, that would be wicked. Can you imagine? Just like big screen far away from you, no eye strain, easily see everything.
Yeah. Great. You know what else I could imagine, Caleb? Apple putting something more than the 720p webcam in a $4,000 laptop. That's what I could imagine. And I have one, thank you.
Oh, man.
So
Me too. I can't wait for
360
that.
grad. Shush 360 grad. Yeah, go ahead. I'm listening.
I was just going to say, can't wait for that M1 or M234, whatever it's going to be, for the 16-inch. That's going to be hot.
Yes, it is.
And someone mentioned earlier, I forgot to read it out. Someone bought a Mac Mini or something. That's been tempting me a lot. Even for this room, to do a live stream with no sound, like no power, no fan, noise.
I'm totally down with that.
Fast.
I'm actually thinking about
$800. What the heck?
I think when I build the studio,
8 gigs of RAM.
I think when I build the studio out and it's set up for my live streaming stuff, I think I'm going to get a Mac Mini because I'm sick of when those fans kick in, and I want it to be nice and quiet. I would also, I got some, who Andy Cine is. They make monitors, of course, and they make some lights or they distribute some lights. They reached out to me months ago, and it sounds like they're going to try to create some sort of teleprompter thing. I was like, if you're going to do it, no, Andy Cine.
Oh, nice.
But I said, look, what I really want is just make a monitor that's large. Like if somebody came out with a 15 to 16-inch monitor and a teleprompter setup as one unit, and they did the horizontal flip the right way, so you didn't have to buy a decimator or something like that was built into the monitor, they would sell so many as like a standard kit. Like just set it up so that it has USB-C, to HDMI adapter built in the box. Yep. And then you have an HDMI monitor, and then you have the teleprompter, and it has the whole little kit that you can attach either an iPhone or a mirrorless or a DSLR camera. And you sell that thing for $500, and you'd be selling them for days and days and days.
Yeah. And if
Yeah.
they, I mean, I would imagine they'd start with something more mass market. Like if they essentially took a Parrot or something like this, a 7-inch style,
Yeah.
where people could easily use it and made it easy. But dude, if Apple does iPhone sidecar, forget about it. Easy. Peace
Yep.
out.
Yep.
But I'm not gonna buy an iPad Pro just for
Just
this
for
kind of
this.
thing, you know? Yeah.
No, but I don't think Sidecar does the horizontal flip. So does it?
What?
I don't think Sidecar
Oh,
does. So like when you go to an iPad, I
good
don't think you
point.
can just go to a prompter. I mean, they could easily put it in there. The old OS had it, and they just stripped it,
Sure.
and then all the
Boo.
utilities now are broken. Sucks. Okay, what do we got here? I see some comments about inches. I'm going to ignore those. Any idea how to get a teleprompter script running over program video, like script with green background chroma overlay? No, I don't think. Man, gee whiz, I think you just made my mind
Trying
cells
to.
just implode. I don't even know what's going on here. Is this a test? I'm not trying to get into that school. I don't want to go to that school. That's too complicated for me.
Chuck Moss must confess I'm a Canon guy, but I stealthed a Sony A7S and the Tamron 28-70. It's exactly what I've been using for B-roll since I got that camera. That setup is nice.
A7S2?
A7S3
Yeah.
with that cheap Tamron zoom.
Yeah.
I want to try their wider zoom, but I haven't played with it.
By the way, I think that we should acknowledge, because you're talking about the M1, M2, whatever it is, that amazingly, when we talk about this, Mac Mini and stuff, Apple has, like, in a day, flipped their game. They're making great computers, but now we're talking about the benchmarks on these things are insanity. I mean, whatever they're doing is just bonkers. It'll be really interesting to see when third-party manufacturers software developers really start to port to the M1. Are we going to see the same level of performance as some of the native apps that Apple's making? Of course, Final Cut, Logic, all these other things that are just going to scream on this chip and they're going to optimize. But you also have people like Affinity who make, those programs. They're quick to the gate, but they've always sort of been optimized for that Apple experience. But I would really like to see what happens when Creative Cloud is, really there for, for the M1 and future chips. Is it really going to take a speed boost? What's going to happen with DaVinci Resolve when it's optimized, for silicon? Are we going to see the same types of boosts there, or is it just going to be incremental? So I'd like to see. Yeah. Yeah.
Wild. Yeah, it's going to be insane. I think DaVinci will be amazing. I don't know what's up with Adobe. Like, why they always seem behind.
Yep.
Like Adobe, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, especially people who, like you who use it. I feel like Adobe has always been behind in performance. And sure, you could always say that Apple is ahead because they own the hardware, but but Blackmagic, they just get it, and it's just amazing on it, like any hardware.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I don't use Adobe the way a lot of people do. I have a team of people right now on a contract project that we're cutting in Creative Cloud, Premiere Pro, After Effects all of the time. There's a lot of that happening every single day. When it comes to me, day in, day out, I'm not really using that solution. But the most frustrating thing for me is just watching the bloat and how it just continues to grow with the Adobe app, because you really have software very similarly to Final Cut Studio, the original Final Cut Pro before they moved over to 10. Now they've dropped the X or the 10, blah, blah, blah. But you have a situation where, we have bloat in terms of code. We obviously have an application or a suite of applications where the code in there a lot of that code is really old code, legacy code. And so it's very frustrating because when you bring new formats in terms of video formats and things, it's just not really tuned for that. And I don't know what Blackmagic did, but when they acquired DaVinci, they must have internally taken a very different approach, because when you throw new formats and codecs at DaVinci Resolve, it kills it. I mean, it's just like you just need every single third-party developer to make third-party plugins for DaVinci Resolve. And it's really hard to argue right now that for $300, you know, they have the best, arguably, hands down, suite of products that exists on the market. You own it for $300. So they've taken the Apple approach, but you own the whole kit and caboodle. Right now you can get the little controller as part of that. You can buy DaVinci Studio, and you get the controller for the cut page in Resolve. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
It's like that whole little controller thing and the jog thing. If you buy... You get it for free right now. So if you buy the Studio, you get that controller, which normally costs $300 for free. So it's like almost a no-brainer. You used to have to buy a camera to get it. So I don't know. We'll see.
It's wild.
Yeah.
They're crazy over there. But they're not crazy.
They're not.
They're very calm people.
Yes.
But they're crazy. Doing stuff like that.
Who are you talking about? Oh, DaVinci. The result. You mean Blackmagic?
They're the most calm people ever.
Yes,
but they're doing psycho stuff like that.
They are. But then you look at
camera. Here's our 12K camera.
Yeah, what's it? Come on. Yeah, it's
no fireworks.
It's great.
No scantily clad women. Just 12K. Here's some footage that Ed filmed yesterday during his lunch break. Have a good day. 12K. It's super chill. I love it.
It is. And then you look at Adobe, though. Adobe would not be here if they didn't start their subscription model. There's no question about it, in my opinion. I think that was the smartest thing they ever did. Everybody got all pissed off.
Way more money.
Way more money. 360 Greg, but go ahead. What? Go. Yeah, for sure.
I was just saying, there's subscriptions make way more. Like, so I can't tell you how many people are like, dude, switch your business to subscription, you know, with your guides and everything. But I just, having been on the other end of that, I hate that so much.
I know.
I do too. Worst thing in the world. So
yeah,
I'm out.
Benjamin's 360 Grad about that free controller for the Resolve Studio. Yeah, but do you really use that controller? I don't know the answer to that question. Zoom F6 or MixPre 6.2, anyone got some opinions, those two audio recorders? Well, I don't have any experience with the Zoom F6. I know it's a very capable device. It also has 32-bit float. But I would say if I were putting my money down on the table, especially because we're not talking about $500 to $1,000 price difference nowadays, you know, sound devices is becoming pretty competitive in terms of what the products are that they're developing, except for in the really high end, compared to some of the other companies like Zoom. I think that the MixPre 6.2, which I have, the MixPre 3.2, all of those things, they're in rockstar territory. Their preamps are quieter than, I don't know. They're just quiet. And I think they're just making amazing products. And then they just keep adding, you know, functionality to them. Not that Zoom doesn't, but I think for the money, you're making a good investment in a Sound Devices product. What about you, Caleb? I mean, you're a big Sound Devices fan.
Yeah, I still don't have their newer, you know, Mark II line. I just have the MixPre 3, the first one that came out, and thrilled with it.
Yep.
You know, get levels to -20 to -12, and you're done.
Yep.
And I came from like H4n, you know, Tascam, whatever land. So that was just a massive jump up. The build quality, plug in a USB-C, you know, external battery, it'll power for weeks, and you're done.
Yeah.
So yeah, big fan. So I haven't tried the new ones, but it's just reliable hardware.
Yep.
Nice yeah, hardware.
And going back to sort of suite products and NLEs and stuff like that, Shovik's saying I don't use Adobe anymore, DaVinci Resolve, Capture One, Affinity. I think the thing that you have to think about is whether you work in a collaborative or sort of like a single person or like a 2-person studio environment. There's no way around getting out of the Creative Cloud component of things if you're collaborating. It's almost like Final Cut Studio was 10 years ago. If you were going to collaborate with people, everybody was working on Studio. Not everybody, but a huge number of people. So you were looking for Final Cut Pro editors. You were looking for people who understood how to round trip, not to motion, but at least knew how to use Soundtrack Pro, DVD Studio Pro, all of that kind of stuff. I think you can get away with using what you want to use if you're just a solo editor and a solo post person, but there's no way we could have worked on this project we're working on right now if I said, we can only do it if we're doing it in Final Cut Pro, or we're only going to do that if it's in Resolve. They're like, well, we're a Creative Cloud house, and that's just not the way it's going to work. So I would have literally lost like months of work if I didn't, find people who were, using that. So, yeah.
It would be wild. I just had a crazy thought. What if Blackmagic bought Affinity and their 2 apps? Granted, it's the photo world, not the video world. But,
yeah.
Interesting. They're probably not interested in that, but it's interesting thought.
Would be interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, shoot. Who said it? Someone said... it's going to be bonkers. I apologize, I can't find it. It's going to be bonkers when we get to like the higher M's with those chips.
Yes.
Like if the M1, if like an $800 Mac Mini completely smokes everything.
Yes.
What's the M5 going to be in a Mac Pro? Is it going to like 3D print Elon Musk in the flesh on your desk?
Yeah, he's not real anyway, so somebody's got to do it.
Unbelievable.
Totally. Well, the thing is that if they open up the SDK, that sounds up there, to third-party developers, it sounds like somebody's like a whale is dying up there. If they open up the SDK to third-party developers, if software manufacturers can tap into the GPU capabilities of these M chips in full force, then that whole previous 2 manufacturers making GPUs starts to change, especially if the apps are just like next level screaming. I mean, what's the ideal for us when it comes to software? It's instantaneous. It doesn't matter what you throw at it. So if we're throwing at it, 8K footage and we've got 5 streams going, it's just no render. Can you imagine if you were working in a timeline and you had no delay, no matter what you did? It didn't matter. It's like you ingested footage, you dropped it into timeline, you started working with it. You never had to wait for a render to happen. We could easily get to that point at some point in the future, unless we were working with true like uncompressed, raw footage. But if you talk about Blackmagic RAW, ProRes RAW to a secondary extent. You talk about some of these other codecs that are sort of 3 to 5 to 600 megabits per second. There's no reason a year or 2 from now we shouldn't be able to throw anything into a timeline. And if they can tap into the GPU and we start adding effects and transitions and everything else, why it can't be real time? I don't see why that can't be. And that that hasn't ever happened for us. Like you can get that right now if you start working with like really low 1280 by 720, like really low data rate video. You can have that experience, but I think we're going to get there. I don't think it's going to be forever. It's a dream, but I think it's a real dream.
Oh yeah, given the way things are going, it's a great time to be an Apple ecosystemer, for sure.
Yeah.
So
you're going to get that Mac Mini?
Maybe. Again, it's in that list of like, sure, I could put it to work in 5 minutes, but do I need it, Jem? That's my thing.
I don't know.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, like everyone, like the business took a little bit of a hit this year for reasons I can't get into with, you know, all the stuff. But it's, you know, you gotta think about these things.
You
and
absolutely
just
do.
like you, just, you know, it just feels icky to keep buying stuff.
Yeah, and who doesn't want another
it.
puppy? I felt really, you know, I have no doubt. I have no, sorry, not no doubt. I have no regrets. I have no second guessing of the fact that we have that second puppy. That's a, you know, I'm not getting another light. You know, as much as I love lights, like, I'm, like, if I don't see flicker and I get enough exposure and and there's not a big green or magenta skew, bring it on. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I know where I want to put the light most of the time. I'm still learning, but I mean, I have a pretty good idea of where I want to put it right now. I'm so not interested in, like, it's got to be the next big light, you know? I'm becoming you. I'm starting to ignore emails, and I'm not getting interested in,
What does that say?
No,
I
mean manufacturers, like, you know, reaching out to do something, and I just mean like, I want to create videos, but I'm not really interested in creating review or promotional videos. So I'm starting to realize I'm not that person. So I'll just go buy some B7Cs. You know what I mean? And it doesn't, you know, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to do any of that in the future. It's just not really what drives me, you know? Yeah. And I'm going to talk about all of the things that I like to use. And if I'm going to do a workshop, you know, God willing, in the future at some point, I'm going to definitely talk about different manufacturers' products that I like to use. And there's a lot of great products on the market. But right now, you know, my key light is a Bowling P1 bounced off of a little, you know, white sound blanket. You know, what? Who cares? I don't really care.
Yeah,
it's all.
Yeah,
you know.
I've only accepted one review unit in the past. I don't even know how long, and it was a massive mistake. Like, it's a great product, the thing that I, you know, received, but I think I'm gonna reach out and ask to ship it back, just because, you know, when you're, I don't know, you're on the hook. Like, you felt this feeling, right? You get the thing in and you're like, sweet, this is awesome. And then it's like, I started journaling. I'm going down a crazy rabbit hole, so bear with me. Here we go. So I've been listening more to, what's his face from 4 Hour Work Week.
Yes, heard of that. Yes.
What's his name? It's gone. At any rate, he's been talking about journaling. And so I had this crazy idea the other day, like, what if you treat time like money?
Yes.
And so when you think about time as money, you have your saving, investing, and like debt. And like debt, when it comes to time, is the worst thing ever. When you bite off more than you have time for, just like money. You buy something you don't have the money for, you go into debt. And it's just the worst feeling in the world to know you owe something. You owe your time to something that you don't have time for.
I hate it.
Is awful, just awful. So I think I'm gonna bail.
I totally agree with you. I have the same thing. And even if I'm going to get paid to create marketing videos, I sometimes feel like it's not always worth it. There's definitely some change going on in terms of learning that. Yeah. It's one thing for me to do an educational series, like I just finished up. We're just wrapping up and getting the final feedback on the R5 and R6 series. That was a good series to do, and it was also great to work, and I'm really thankful for that because I went for a long period of time where I didn't work. I'm very busy right now, but I was not for a long time. His name is Tim Ferriss, by the way. People are dropping into the chat.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, but it's... I feel exactly the same way as you. I feel like when I've taken something on or somebody's paid me something or they've sent me something, that it's this thing that's hanging over your head. And until you do it, it's just a constant source of stress because you feel like that's on your forever to-do list. And it's just not a good feeling. And sometimes it's gone, sometimes it's gone badly. and in the sense that I haven't been able to have the time to do it. And I'm like, look, it's not like most of the time when you get these things, you're not getting paid to do them. You're doing a review. Sometimes there's an exchange of products, sometimes there isn't. And I'm just like, one thing in particular happened to me this year where I was not able to make a video, and I basically just said to them, look, there's all of these things that have been going on this year. Hello, it's 2020. And I was like, just send me an invoice. I'll just buy it. It wasn't expensive. And they're like, no. And then they started to, quote unquote, like, they scolded me. Like, there was no real promise there. And I just said, just send me an invoice. I'll pay for the product. I'll own it. I don't owe you anything. But I just hate that feeling as well. It's a horrible feeling. Now you hear the dogs. Yeah. So there you go.
Someone...
Yeah, go.
Oh, someone mentioned, why don't you get an assistant to help you make videos? This could be a whole another episode, but scalability and like happiness, because you can build, like Jem could, go nuts, work 24 hours a day, hire a bunch of people, sell his soul to the devil, and build an empire, doing XYZ. But at what cost, So I have an employee, and a couple years ago, if you'd asked me, I would have told you I would love the idea of having a team of editors and writers and shooters and this whole thing. But then you got to manage all that.
Yep.
And I think more and more I'm wanting to scale things down and just do less. So, and there's something about, like when I get all that stuff off the plate, like when I deal with this current situation of this thing that I can't, do a review on or don't want to.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than like going in to work and, all you're focused on is things you're interested in.
I love it. They're the best days.
People that do sponsors, I know I'm leaving money on the table by not taking like, this video is brought to you by Squarespace or brought to you by Storyblocks or brought to you by whatever. But when you sign up for that, now you have to have a video, and it's got to reach a certain number to keep the expectations of the advertisers and all that. And I just, no, thanks. I just not interested in.
You're learning.
Same reason
young.
I haven't done subscriptions.
No,
but like you're gonna make less money, but
Yeah, but that's the problem, is that we're so driven by, I always say to people, you have to figure things out. If what you're interested in life is motivated by, the end product is money, then that's fine. That's your end product. But that game in life is about making more money. And that's what drives you. But I've never been driven by the end product being money. It's always a byproduct of what I love to do. It doesn't mean that you or I don't want to make a lot of money. We want to make enough money to take care of our family and to be comfortable and to have the ability. I think the long-term goal for most people, if they really looked at it, if they really sat down and looked at it for themselves, would be, I am my own boss. I get to wake up every morning and I get to create or do the things that I love to do. And I'm going to get an exchange of money, but I'm not going to have to owe anything to anybody else. Whatever I do, I'm completely responsible for myself. And what I get from that is also based on, what I've produced and done. That to me is the ideal. It's I come up with an idea, I do something. If people like it, they exchange with it. Nobody is telling me what to do. That's not the reality of what most of us have to do. I mean, I'm in a great situation considering what we're doing right now in terms of the work that I'm doing. I'm working for a client every single day, and I've been doing it for months. It's fantastic. But the reality is, they own me right now. It's taking care of my family. I like what I'm doing a lot. I'm enjoying it. I'm learning new things, so that's what makes it a lot easier. But I think that the end game is doing what you love, like just getting up and creating whatever you want and not giving a rat's ass about having to answer to somebody else. Isn't that the goal?
Yeah.
I mean, that's to me
Yeah.
what I would really like to do.
And dead astronaut, who's taking off? Roz, have a good one. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Take care.
Dead astronaut, nothing wrong with getting paid your work time to introduce people to various products, especially if you're upfront about it. And that's the thing is, another part of this whole thing is getting away from the products. Like, I don't know if people have noticed the last couple of videos, or handful, have been more about solving problems and less about gear. Like, I haven't done a review of this thing, of this, mouse or camera as much. And like doing crazy stuff like the A10 mini box thing that I did. Like,
it's amazing.
No one cares. I mean, people care, but it's super not like this is the type of content you want to create if you want to, make it the big time. But and so Rabbit Tribble's joking about listen to your influencer privilege, and he says, "I'm joking, by the way," which is hilarious.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember who said this. I think it was a podcaster or business owner who said, well, it's easy for you to say, people say all the time, well, it's easy for Caleb. It's easy for you to say, oh, I only want to do what I want to do with your X amount of subscribers, over a lot of people out there are like dying and they only have 50 subscribers or whatever. And this guy, his response was brilliant and it always stuck with me. And his response is like, well, it's actually really easy. You just spend 10 years of your life giving up your soul, your life, your time. Yes. At least half of that you're losing money.
Yep.
And you're still doing it. Like, I love that.
It is. Anyway, it's true.
It's a great joke. I love that though. Influencer privilege. That's good.
It is totally true. And nobody gets to where they get to without, lottery style exception, silver spoon in your mouth, without working hard. I mean, that's the truth of it. And where you wind up is not necessarily where you think you were going to go. But I still think that, you keep working towards that idea that you get to wake up every morning and you get to make the decisions about how you want to make a living. And you try. You try to do that, And you have to do what you have to do to take care of your family. The truth is that what I'm doing right now to make a living is not something that is not even in one way, even in the slightest, outside of what I love to do. I'm doing what I love to do. I'm helping people build out studios. I'm directing. I'm producing. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm doing it for another company. That's what I've done for a long time. But in the end, I'm probably going to get to build my studio out in the barn because of that. And that's really, and you know what?
Give us a status update on that.
They've poured the footings for like the 30-foot header, so that it's just going to be an open 1,000 to 1,100 square foot space. It's really going to be a 0.5 build right now. So there's going to be a dividing wall and another dividing wall with sheetrock, but it's just going to be insulation on the other two walls. It's what I can do right now to build out an insulated space that I can be in, that's going to allow me to start to expand what I want to do production-wise. But it's funny, I think this year has changed my perspective on what I want to do production-wise. I'm thinking very differently than I was even 6 or 8 or 9 months ago. It was very much a focus on YouTube and creating, weekly videos. And I think I'm starting to change my viewpoint on that. And that's okay. I think that it's,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know where that's going to go.
Can you share what the viewpoint is leaning toward?
There's definitely still a big educational component of it, but I'm for sure going to move away from this. Oh, this new piece of equipment came in, and I'm going to show you this cool piece of equipment. I want to move towards this idea of I'm just going to create what I want to create and put it up there, and I'm not going to care about how many subscribers I get, and whether that goes to YouTube or it goes to educational content that people pay for. I don't know right now. I'm busy doing this work for this other company, and it's a great learning experience. I'm getting a lot of additional directing experience and things. I think all of these things are going to help. I don't know how this post-pandemic world is going to play out. So I'd love to have a studio space where I can produce content for myself and other people, but I'd like to do it on my own terms. So I just keep moving towards that. We'll see. We got to go. I got to reset for
oh my goodness, 6
a
o'clock. redo.
So many
hours gone so fast.
So many dog poos on Jem's floor. Don't you know it? Speaking of that, I got a 10.
Swivel survived.
Speaking of that, I got a 10-1 before I do the next show. I'm going over the news shooter. We've got Melissa Street, who's a makeup artist, amazing career. And the last time we had her on, which was a few weeks ago, YouTube basically disintegrated. So we were redoing that show. Yeah, no, totally. It just like completely crashed after our Camera Flask. So I appreciate everybody coming by. It's great to have you here on the channel. We'll be back next week with Ben. Caleb, love you, man. Love everybody for coming to the channel. Tyler, thank you for coming in because I saw you came in towards the end. And have a drink on somebody and enjoy your life. Be with your family and friends and cook good food. And see you next week. Caleb, any last words?
Enjoy your influencer privilege.
Enjoy.
And Alex, yes, I miss them too.
Enjoy your influencer privilege on a bumper sticker. In fact, it should just say, the bumper sticker should just say influencer privilege. See ya.